In the world that I, Laura, lived in, a pristine picture of familial love was painted. I stood behind the canvas, the invisible hand adding the vibrant strokes of colors. My sister, Abigail, was always the center of this painting, the perfect daughter, gleaming with charisma and confidence. She always knew how to twist the narrative in her favor, leaving me overshadowed, silently weathering the unfairness that painted my life. Marianne, I don't understand, I confessed to my best friend one evening, sitting in the comforting privacy of my room. How is it that she manages to take credit for everything, even things I've done? Marianne, her eyes full of sympathy, replied, Laura, it's because you let her. You're too kind-hearted to stand up to her. It's not a fault, but it's a fact. But I'm not brave like you, Marianne, I admitted, my heart heavy with the burden of years of unspoken resentment. I don't know how to confront her, to tell her she's wrong. Marianne sighed, her hand reaching out to mine in a comforting gesture. You don't have to confront her, Laura, you just have to stand up for yourself. It was a bitter pill to swallow, and yet it was the truth. I had always been too scared, too intimidated by Abigail's dominance to say anything against her. Her charm was her weapon, and she wielded it expertly. Every accomplishment of mine became hers, every misgiving conveniently landing in my lap. You need to believe in yourself more, Laura, Marianne continued, her voice soothing as the twilight outside. You're just as deserving of recognition as she is. But Abigail, she always finds a way to win. I replied, a familiar defeat creeping into my voice. Well, maybe it's time for you to find your way to win, Marianne suggested, a spark of determination in her eyes that was infectious. As I sat there, looking at my best friend, I felt a warm affection for her. Marianne was my lighthouse in the stormy seas of my life, the only one who saw me for who I truly was, not just Abigail's younger sister. As the evening turned into night, Marianne and I found comfort in our shared silence. The conversation lingered in the air, a potent reminder of the decision I would eventually have to make. The canvas of my life had been dominated by my sister for far too long. It was time for me to pick up the brush and reclaim my rightful place. Life has a funny way of revealing truths, often when we least expect it. I discovered Abigail's secret in a similar unexpected twist. It was a normal evening when I saw her phone light up with a message from Peter, Marianne's husband. Intrigued, I picked it up, expecting a friendly exchange. Instead, I found a thread full of flirtatious banter and hidden innuendos, leaving no room for any innocent interpretations. My sister was having an affair with my best friend's husband. I remember how the phone slipped from my hands, the world spinning around me. The wave of betrayal was suffocating, and the flood of anger and sadness was crippling. Yet, amidst the chaos of my emotions, a resolution was born. I couldn't let this deception continue. I can't believe it, Marianne, I whispered into the phone late that night. Abigail, with Peter, I saw their messages. There was a sharp intake of breath on the other end of the line. Laura, are you sure? Marianne's voice was shaky, disbelief and pain intermingled in her words. Yes, I'm sure, I replied, the heaviness of the truth in my heart. I don't know what to say, Marianne. I'm so sorry. We need to expose them, Laura. Marianne's voice was firmer now. We can't let them get away with this. Her determination fueled my own. Yes, I agreed. We can't let Abigail's manipulation continue. She needs to face the consequences of her actions. Are you ready for what this could mean, Laura? Marianne asked me, her tone cautious. Exposing Abigail, it's going to change everything. I know, I responded, my voice steady. And I'm ready. It's time for Abigail to be held accountable. We spent the rest of the night talking, brainstorming ideas, and planning our next steps. The path ahead was filled with uncertainty and danger, but we were united in our resolve. We would no longer be silent spectators to Abigail's deceit. The time for reckoning was near. In the following days, I embarked on a silent campaign to gather evidence against Abigail. I carefully documented their secret meetings, sneaked pictures of them together, saved text messages, and even managed to record some of their conversations. Each piece of evidence was a weapon in my arsenal, a step closer to my objective. Marianne, I've got another recording, I whispered into the phone late one night, my heart pounding with the thrill of my covert operations. Good. Marianne's voice echoed my resolve. Every piece of evidence strengthens our case against them. Are you okay, Marianne? I asked, concerned about the toll this was taking on my friend. I know this is hard for you. I'm fine, Laura, she assured me. I want this. I need this. For both of us. Our conversations were no longer just about comforting each other. They were strategy sessions, brainstorming meetings, and moments of reassurance. The danger of our actions loomed large, but the resolve to expose Abigail's true nature was stronger. I'm scared, Marianne, I confessed one night after a particularly close call with Abigail. What if she finds out what we're doing? We can't let that happen, Laura, Marianne replied, her voice steady. We have to be careful, more careful than ever. I know, I agreed, but the closer we get, the more nervous I become. That's natural, Laura, Marianne responded, her voice soft. But remember, we're doing this for a reason. We're doing this for justice. Her words were a beacon in the dark, guiding me, reminding me why I had embarked on this journey. The fear was real, but so was the determination. I was no longer the silent, overshadowed Laura. I was becoming a force to be reckoned with, and Abigail was about to experience the storm she never saw coming. The annual family gathering was a grand affair, filled with familiar faces and jovial conversations. But this year it was a stage set for a very different performance. As the evening unfolded, I felt a rush of adrenaline coursing through my veins. It was time. Marianne, I whispered, pulling her aside. It's time. Marianne looked at me, her eyes mirroring my determination. Are you sure, Laura? I've never been more sure, I affirmed, my heart pounding in my chest. Walking into the room felt like stepping onto a battlefield. I could see Abigail, her arm looped through Peter's, laughing at something he'd said. The sight of them together was a stark reminder of the betrayal, the lies, the deceit. It fueled my resolve. I took a deep breath, commanding the room's attention. I have something to say, I announced, my voice steady. The room fell silent, all eyes turning towards me. I'm sorry to ruin the festivities, I began, my gaze locking with Abigail's. But there's a truth that needs to be exposed tonight. There was a collective gasp as I began to reveal the evidence I'd collected over the weeks. I played the recordings, showed the text messages, and even projected the pictures of Abigail and Peter together. The room was engulfed in stunned silence as the weight of my revelations sank in. I could see the shock on their faces, the disbelief, the horror. Abigail's facade of perfection was shattered, her true nature exposed for everyone to see. Abigail, I said, my voice echoing in the silence. You've manipulated us for too long. It ends tonight. The fallout was immediate. Abigail, once the golden child, was now a pariah. The whispers began, the glares followed, and the judgment was pronounced. The oppressor had finally faced the reckoning. The aftermath of the revelation was like a storm that had swept through our lives, leaving destruction in its wake. Abigail, who had once been the apple of everyone's eye, was now an outcast. She was shunned, her actions having shown her true colors. She was no longer the golden child. She was a woman who had betrayed her own sister and her best friend. Marianne, I said, the morning after the party, we did it. We did, she echoed, her voice filled with a mix of relief and sadness. Laura, I don't know what to say. You don't need to say anything, I reassured her. We did what we had to do. There was a pause, then Marianne spoke again. I can't believe it's over. It's over, I confirmed. Abigail has been exposed. She can't hurt us anymore. I still can't believe it, Laura, Marianne confessed. But I'm glad it's over. I'm glad she can't hurt us anymore. I'm glad too, I replied. It's time for us to move on. Watching Abigail face the consequences of her actions was a bittersweet experience. There was a part of me that was pained, seeing my sister in such a state. But then I remembered the pain she had inflicted on us, the years of manipulation, the betrayal, and I knew that this was justice. I hope you regret what you've done, Abigail, I said to her the last time we spoke. I hope you realize the pain you've caused. I do, she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. I do regret it, Laura. And with that, I walked away, leaving my sister to face the consequences of her actions. The oppressor had been punished, and the oppressed had triumphed. This was my story, a tale of a sister's reckoning.